The Buddha and the Fire of Anger. Long ago, in the kingdom of Kosala, there lived a young prince named Virudhaka. He was strong, intelligent, and skilled in warfare, but he was also known for his fiery temper. His rage was quick, and his words were sharp as a blade. Servants trembled in his presence, and even the royal ministers spoke cautiously around him. One day, as he practiced sword fighting in the royal courtyard, a servant accidentally tripped and spilled water on his royal robes. The prince's eyes burned with fury. "You insolent fool! How dare you be so careless?" he roared, drawing his sword. The terrified servant fell to his knees, trembling. But before the prince could strike, his old mentor, Acharya Devadatta, intervened. "My prince, your rage controls you. Would you punish a man for a mistake as if he were an enemy in battle?" Virudhaka clenched his fists, but lowered his sword. "Then what should I do with my anger, Acharya?" "Seek wisdom. Visit the Buddha in Shravasti. He can teach you to master your anger before it masters you." Though reluctant, the prince decided to seek out the Buddha. The journey to Shravasti, Virudhaka and his guards traveled to Jetavana, where the Buddha was residing. The journey was long, and the prince saw much suffering in the villages along the way. People struggling with hunger, illness, and loss. But what surprised him most was that despite their hardships, many still greeted him with kindness. Reaching Jetavana, the prince saw the Buddha sitting under a Bodhi tree, surrounded by monks and villagers. His face was serene, as if untouched by any emotion. The prince stepped forward. "Gautama Buddha, I am Prince Virudhaka of Kosala. I am told you can teach me to control my anger." The Buddha smiled gently. "Anger is like fire, my prince. If you do not master it, it will burn everything around you, including yourself. Sit, and I shall tell you a story." The story of the angry man. The Buddha began. There was once a great warrior named Surya, who was feared across the land. He won many battles, but he had one weakness, his uncontrollable rage. One day, as he rested in a village, a poor farmer accidentally spilled rice on his feet. Furious, Surya slapped the man. The farmer bowed and said, "Thank you, my lord." Surya was stunned. "Why do you thank me after I have insulted you?" The farmer smiled. "Because you have given me a chance to practice patience. You may strike me, but I choose not to strike back. That is my victory." Surya was humbled. For all his strength, he had been defeated by a simple farmer who did not fight. Virudhaka listened carefully. "So you mean to say that not reacting in anger is a victory?" The Buddha nodded. "Yes. True strength is not in harming others, but in mastering oneself. The test of patience." Virudhaka stayed in Jetavana, listening to the Buddha's teachings. One day he asked, "Master, how can I truly know if I have conquered my anger?" The Buddha smiled. "Return home. But before you leave, I will send a beggar to test your patience. If you can endure him without anger, you will know you are free." Curious, the prince set off for Kosala. But along the way, an old beggar approached him, demanding food, insulting him, and even spitting near his feet. Virudhaka clenched his fists. His guards drew their swords, but he raised a hand to stop them. He took a deep breath. "Old man, do you wish to anger me?" The beggar grinned. "I merely test your patience, my prince, and you have passed." At that moment, Virudhaka understood. Anger had no power over him unless he allowed it. The enlightened king. Years later, when Virudhaka became king, he ruled with wisdom. Whenever anger stirred within him, he remembered the Buddha's words. Anger is a fire that burns only the one who holds it. One day, an enemy ruler insulted him publicly, expecting war. But instead of reacting, King Virudhaka sent gifts and words of peace. His kingdom prospered, and his people admired him, not for his strength, but for his wisdom. And thus, the prince who was once ruled by anger became a king who ruled with compassion. Moral: true victory is not in defeating others, but in mastering oneself.